When football came into bloom in 1981, the Chicago Bears were filled with hopes and dreams. The Bears dreamt of their third playoff appearance in 5 years and took on their NFC Central Division rivals with a focus on first. '81 did not have the stuff of which dreams are made. The Bears also had hopes that they could rebound from 1980's losing season, but that too proved to be off target. The Bears finished the year with a disappointing 6-10 record, well short of a championship formula, a formula last achieved in 1963 when Mike Ditka was the best tight end in pro football, and he led the Bears to an NFL title.
Mike Ditka, if not the greatest tight end ever played the game, I don't know who is. Mike Ditka was called Iron Mike, and they didn't call him that for nothing. He was a tough guy. He was a great blocker. He was a great pass receiver. He was a personified tight end. He was a tough guy to play against. He asked no quarter. He gave no quarter.
Ditka's trademarks were those of a champion fighter, relentless, punishing, and always on the attack. 19 years later, Ditka returns to Chicago as the Bears' head coach, and he plans to mold the team in his own image. The Bears can be that kind of team.
And dropping back to throw is Evans. He has time, throws downfield, has his man, and the catch is made at the 30, the 40, the 50. It's Marcus Anderson. He's going to score.
Chicago finished the season with 3 consecutive wins, and Bear fans hope their new head coach will sustain this momentum and lead the team to a return to glory. In order for Chicago to orchestrate a resurgence in 1982, the Bears will have to reshape their game plan. In the upcoming year, the Bears will utilize a more daring offense, aiming to put more points on the scoreboard. The quickest way to do that is through the air. The Bears' pass offense was not among the NFL leaders, yet Chicago possesses as exciting and diverse a receiving corps as any in the league. When the Bears need a quick strike, they turn to number 80, Ricky Watts, as their primary deep threat. Complementing Watts' long ball style is the inside maneuverability of number 22, David Williams. However, the most outstanding season turned in by a Bear receiver in 1981 was by number 89, Ken Marjoram, an acrobatic rookie blessed with extraordinary hands. Marjoram led Chicago in receiving yardage, and along with another first-year player, Marcus Anderson, the Bears have plenty of promising young talent at the wide-out position. But the Bears' most talented area is its defense. For the 4th consecutive season, the Bears ranked as one of the NFL's top defensive units against the pass. They weren't the league's most heralded group, but they sure got the job done. Outstanding years were turned in by veterans like Doug Plank, Mike Hardenstein, Jim Osborne, and Terry Schmidt, all of whom made sure that no team escaped Soldier Field without an assortment of battle scars. However, the defense's finest game was a Thanksgiving Day showdown in Dallas, when the Bears gave the Cowboys all they could handle. The Bears lost the game by just 1 point, but Dallas's fabled home winning streak never had a closer call. Yet beneath this grisly exterior, the Bears were a team of kind-hearted character. Punt return specialist Jeff Fisher contributed $1 to the Shrine Hospital for Crippled Children for every return yard he gained. An $88 donation was in the mail after this touchdown against the Buccaneers. Equally charitable was tackle Ted Albrecht, who lent a helping hand to the metropolitan area's Big Brother and Sister campaign. Former Rhodes Scholar candidate Brian Baschnagel organized an off-season book drive, while fun-loving Al Harris kept the Bears' spirits high.
I've always played with excitement as far as the way I play. You know, sometimes I'll jump up and throw my hand in the air. I don't throw it to defy the person I've tackled or knocked down. I do it to kind of build a little excitement in me and my team. And it's just like anything else. I think it's a psychology. It's just like anything else. If someone's patting you on the back and saying, hey, you're doing a good job, you're going to want to do a better job. And young players are like that. They like to slap around, and you kind of laugh about it a little bit. You see these guys dancing in the end zone like it's a, you know, American Bandstand or Soul Train, but it really is something to get excited about.
Harris became a full-time starter at defensive end and fulfilled his promise as a first-round selection. Along with another former first-round player, number 99, Dan Hampton, the Bears should be solid on the defensive line throughout the 80s. Hampton and Harris's contributions reflect the Bears' superb drafts in recent years. Further evidence can be found directly behind Chicago's front four. At linebacker, the Bears are bolstered by Brian Gabrell, Bruce Herron, Gary Campbell, Mike Singletary, and number 55, Otis Wilson. Men who love to stop a ball carrier behind the line of scrimmage. While the league raved about the 49ers' three great rookie defensive backs, Chicago was developing four of its own. Jeff Fisher, Todd Bell, Leslie Frazier, and number 20, Reuben Henderson, all first-year players, helped solidify the Bears secondary. With Chicago starting 7 players with 3 or less years experience, the Bears have a defense that can only get better.
Back to throw, Hippel, under pressure, throws, it's picked off! Coming down the near sideline, Todd Bell, he's got a convoy, he's to the 50, he cuts back, he's going to score! Todd Bell, it's going to go 95 yards for a touchdown! Incredible!
In the swirling winds of pro football, there exists a special group of men. These men are remembered for their lasting contributions to the game. Their memories are forever secured in the public's eye. They are the game's legends.
Starting at defensive tackle in his final pro season, number 82, Alan Page.
There has never been a defensive tackle more dominating than Alan Page. Page streamlined the craft of pass rushing with feline quickness, and in 1971, he became the only defensive player ever to be named the league's most valuable player. In his 15th and final season, Page still gave teams trouble and finished the year as the Bears' second leading pass rusher.
Growing up, I was taught by my parents that if you're going to do anything, do it well. And if you're not going to do it, that's fine. But if you're going to do it well. I would like to think that I wouldn't miss anything. It would be a little naive of me to think, or at least to believe that I won't miss anything. I've had a fantastic time here. It's been great. I guess I netted out that the best thing I could do was just go and go quietly.
However, Page did not leave football quietly as he took part in 4 sacks in his final game. Alan Page, the man who broke the traditional role of the defensive tackle. Yep, there's another Bear legend who defies convention every time he touches the ball. For an NFL defense, watching Walter Payton is like witnessing a lightning storm. They marvel at his power and beauty and pray he doesn't come their way. As has been the case throughout his career, Payton was the focus of Chicago's running game. Early in the season, however, Bear opponents ganged up on Walter and held him to an uncharacteristic 5-game streak without a 100-yard day. But Walter didn't quit, as the balance of a bruised Bear schedule would learn. Payton finished the year with his 6th consecutive 1,000-yard season and now needs less than 400 yards to reach the coveted 10,000-yard career plateau. Walter Payton, the 4th leading rusher in football history.
We're going to attack the defenses
When
with
Mike
every tool we
Ditka
have.
rejoined the Bears in 1982, a legend from the team's past promised to build Chicago's future.
I believe in a multiple offense, if that's what you're asking. I believe in using different sets. I believe in using some movements. My whole idea is to keep the defense off balance. The longer you keep the defense off balance, the more time you have to work effectively. I think what it means for Chicago is we're going to give them a football team that's going to be a winning football team. It's going to be an interesting football team. and it's going to be a football team that everybody can be very proud of.
Why, Mike has got the job, and I like his ability to handle himself and to handle other people, and I know he'll do a good job.
Ditka's main objective will be to make the Bears' offense a more versatile unit. Running backs Willie McClendon, Roland Harper, and number 26, Matt Suey, will carry more of the load, while Peyton's role as a secondary receiver will be changed to a main target. Ditka also plans to work extensively with the offensive line and better coordinate the efforts of Noah Jackson, Dan Neal, Ted Albrecht, Dennis Lick, and 1981's top draft choice, Keith Van Horn. With a more fortified front wall, the Bears head coach will turn his attention to his old position, tight end, and help men like number 81, Robin Earl, find a bigger role in the offense.
It all boils down to this placement. Avellini kneeling down at the 16. It'll be a 26-yard attempt. Hilgenberg over the ball. There's the snap. The ball is down. The kick is up. It is good! And the Bears have upset the San Diego Chargers in overtime.
If Chicago's return to glory is to begin in 1982, let the second half of the 1981 season serve as a sneak preview. On the season's 8th week, the Bears were just 1-6. But when the AFC Western Division champion San Diego Chargers rolled into town, the most explosive team in football history became the first victim in the Bears' comeback drive. The Bears effectively dismantled Dan Fouts' aerial game, took the Chargers into overtime, and beat them 20-17. 2 weeks later, it was the Kansas City Chiefs' turn to fall, as John Rovetto's 22-yard field goal gave Chicago their second win over an AFC West team. The team's late-season comeback was reflected in personal comebacks as well. 2 years ago, Vince Evans nearly died from a staph infection. But number 8 courageously fought his way back to the lineup and reasserted himself as the game's most elusive signal caller. Evans finished the year as the Bears' third leading rusher and tied a personal record with 11 touchdown passes. Next season, Evans will look forward to hooking up with the returning James Scott. Scott comes back to Chicago after a year's absence, and Bear fans are eager to see one of the most spectacular passing tandems in team history at work once again. But of all the comebacks made by the Bears, safety Gary Fensick's was the most noteworthy. 2 years ago, Fensick underwent separate knee and ankle operations, and many football observers questioned his post-surgery effectiveness. Fensick responded with 2 Pro Bowl appearances. Fensick was the Bears' defensive leader, and he helped to make the Bears red hot in the frigid month of December. Against the division rival Vikings, Fensick and company relinquished just 7 points to the NFC's finest offense. With assistance from the Bear passing attack, Chicago needed just 1 play to dethrone the reigning NFC Central champs.
Avellini, the quarterback. He drops back to throw, pumps, looks, stop and go. Down the right side, he's got his man. Biesnagel at the 40. He's to the 30. He might score. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown! Brian Biesnagel on the old stop and go. And Avellini hit him beautifully. How about that? 72 yards, and the Bears strike on one big lightning bolt.
The following week in Oakland, defense in the passing game again provided Chicago with a victory. The reigning world champion Raiders scored only once, while Vince Evans hurled 3 touchdowns to give the Bears their 3rd win over an AFC Western Division team. Chicago returned home to a season finale with the playoff hopeful Denver Broncos. Bronco supporters had already put their championship campaign on ice, but they forgot that no AFC West team gets by the Chicago Bears. The Bears picked off 3 passes, scored 5 touchdowns, and foiled the Broncos' championship bid by winning 35-24. No other NFL team had a better December, and no one dominated any division like the Bears dominated the AFC West. One must ask himself, will Chicago's late season surge give the Bears momentum for 1982? Can one of the youngest teams in football continue to improve and move Chicago into the game's upper echelon? Will an explosive Mike Ditka offense give the Bears the needed push to return to glory? You can count on it.